As the gates to Agartha opened, the four heroes were rewarded with riches beyond their imagination. From that day forward, they knew that Blue would keep them safe forever.
You're getting everything wrong. I told you before the pro tag should be iconic.
It's my turn, Green. I can do whatever I want.
But you don't even know how to play properly. Cold War fans don't know enough about zombies.
Finish your playdate, losers. We have to make a video.
We better do what Red says. I didn't even get my turn.
Tomorrow, Green. You get to make the rules. I promise. I wish the heroes in our stories were real, Blue. I know what you mean. But we will make everything okay. Red says he has a plan.
Hello, gamers! I am the Doctor. And if I could do a better Richtofen impression, I'd be doing that for the entire video. What's up, gamers? Welcome back to another episode of Video Game Gems. I'm Ginge the Ripper. Let's play a game. Call of Duty is an iconic franchise that was once praised as the best of the shooter genre, with a variety of game modes to keep the series fresh. Today, we're covering my favorite COD game of them all, Call of Duty Black Ops 3. While I usually talk about a game in its entirety, today we're covering a single game mode within the franchise that has enough passion and content to be its own game, Call of Duty Zombies. BO3 Zombies is the most refined version of the mode's core gameplay, and is objectively the best of the series.
Actually, Cold War Zombies is the best.
Zombies is a game mode where up to 4 players are dropped into a small map overrun with an endless horde of the undead. To say the players spawn invulnerable would be an understatement. Trapped in a small room armed with only a knife and a half-loaded pistol, if you're not careful, the zombies can take you down in a couple hits. As you kill zombies and rebuild barriers, you'll rack up points allowing you to open up the map to better artillery, as well as upgrades and other goodies. As the rounds go up, the zombies grow stronger and faster. Your goal is to survive as long as possible until you are inevitably overrun. Several guns can be bought off walls to help you in the earlier rounds, but the stronger weapons are found in the mystery box. For a small fee, you can spin the mystery box in hopes of acquiring your favorite weapons or a teddy bear that relocates the box.
This little girl in the games, it's a sign of bad parenting.
Every so often, zombies will drop power-ups to aid the players. The main 6 are max ammo, insta-kill, fire sale that makes a box spawn at each location and cuts the price down to 10 points, a nuke that kills all zombies on screen, carpenter that rebuilds all the barriers around the map, and a death machine. There are a variety of Perk-a-Cola machines scattered throughout each map that buff your character with unique abilities, like aim assist, quicker movement, or the ability to carry extra guns.
Quick revive. Oorah! Quick reload! And vodka too. Exploding belly flops. Jugga 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 nog.
Each machine has its own jingle, a catchy tune encouraging a sale. Since there's usually a 4 perk limit, they're a fun way to decide which perks are right for you.
If you wanna get up, you need a little revive. Yeah! When you dive prone, it's gonna shake you to the bone. All the zombies gonna groan 'cause of PhD. Flop. Damn straight. Oh God, complaining about your bad aiming. Just try again for me with the headshot power of Deadshot
We can't talk about perks without including the
Wonderful Wonder Fizz.
It'll make you tingle.
For 1500 points, players can roll their Wunderfizz in an attempt to receive a perk without a vending machine. Like the mystery box, in some maps, der Wunderfizz is relocated if a teddy bear cola is spun. The Pack-a-Punch machine, as the name implies, will upgrade a weapon in exchange for 5,000 points, giving it quite a boost in power. In each map, there are special artillery known as wonder weapons that have unique abilities and are usually needed to beat their corresponding maps. In some maps, the wonder weapons are found in the mystery box.
I got an electric rifle. Yes, I got sewing cannon. I got an ice pistol. And more vodka. I got a bug.
In other maps, the wonder weapons have to be crafted and upgraded by finding their respective parts around the map.
Hey, meat sacks, I built the wonder weapon. Congratulations, Blue Ginge. But you must share the honor.
In most maps, the wonder weapon can only be picked up by one player. Depending on how trustworthy your teammates are, if you go down holding a wonder weapon, they may refuse to revive you, letting you bleed out so you lose your gear and the wonder weapon goes back in the box.
Rest in pieces, down for the count. No revival, you're bleeding out. Your epitaph says you died a wealthy man.
Some maps have shields that can be used both offensively and defensively. The shield is broken into 3 parts. Like the wonder weapons, you can build the shield at one of the various workbenches around the map after you've collected all the parts.
Check it out, guys. I built the shield. The unholy shall kneel before the might of the honorable. Are you not thinking a shield red? 9 green. I don't need it.
Lastly, each map is stuffed with various Easter eggs, some of which give you info about the zombies lore, some will play hidden songs, and others can upgrade weapons or have a direct effect on the map.
I found the last piece! I have found a delicious tune!
Hey, look! It's nobody! Ah, A Tale of Two Dempseys. Starts slow, but has a happy ending. Whoa, looks like Nikolai's put on a few pounds. What's he been eating? Oh, our little bundle of badass. His portrait's bigger than everyone else's. Must be trying to compensate for something.
If given enough time, I could create a generator from spare parts. Why is it black and white now?
You suck, Richtofen.
Mother never let me play with dolls.
Damn straight.
And then there are core Easter eggs that lead to a boss battle and or an end cutscene that progresses the narrative. Even though you ultimately die regardless if you finish the Easter egg, completing it is essentially how you beat each map.
Ah, yes! I'm free! I cannot thank you enough for releasing me from that horrible place. Fascinating! Und dimensional rift! Goodbye, Gersh! It would have been good to know you!
Now that we understand the core mechanics of Call of Duty Zombies, what makes Black Ops 3 stand out? BO3 wasn't revolutionary. As I said earlier, its biggest claim to fame is refining the core mechanics that make zombies zombies, making it a game that fans can return to over and over again. Black Ops 3 released at a time when the zombies community was at an all-time low. The majority of the zombie maps and modes in Black Ops 2 were ambitious but unfinished, and took zombies in a direction that the mode wasn't ready for. On top of that, the main protagonists were uninteresting, with little to no reason for players to care about them. So, BO3 played it safe and went back to formula. That's not to say BO3 didn't add anything new. Players now took 3 hits before going down instead of 2. In previous games, zombies could double swipe a player if he or she wasn't careful, immediately ending a solo run. The extra hit ensured players were responsible for their own deaths and could learn from their mistakes.
Help is raining, you're on the roads.
A new Perk-a-Cola was added called Widow's Wine, turning a player's grenades into sticky grenades by wrapping them in spiderweb. If a zombie touched you while carrying spider grenades, one would explode, doing damage to all nearby zombies and slowing them down. The perk also gave players a poison-tipped knife, increasing the damage a little, and also gave it the ability to slow zombies down. BO3 also introduced double packing. After you've pack-a-punched a weapon, you can pack it a second time at half price, giving it one of several upgrades that insta-kill zombies. Turned will turn a zombie into an ally, as it runs around killing other zombies. Blast Furnace lights all nearby zombies on fire. Thunderwall instantly blows incoming zombies away. Fireworks spawns a gun that will pop the heads off of all nearby zombies. And Deadwire tethers several zombies together with electricity, and is considered the most effective of the upgrades. Specialist weapons were added to the mode as a way for players to obtain an additional overpowered weapon if they put in the work. Similar to the Pack-a-Punch, players have to perform a list of simple tasks in order to obtain them. You charge specialist weapons by killing zombies, and once they are full, you can unleash a powerful attack for a short period of time. Sliding was yet another new mechanic added to Black Ops 3, replacing the dolphin dive. If players held the crouch button while running, they would dive to prone, a useful mechanic in campaign and multiplayer for taking cover, but not so useful in a mode where you're always on the move. Well, except for
Exploding belly flops!
So it was replaced with sliding in BO3. Sliding is an exploitable mechanic as it is much faster than running at full speed. By jumping out of a slide, you can slide again once you hit the ground and keep that momentum going. Sliding also negates the decrease in speed while carrying heavy weapons, and also allows players to slip through tighter gaps between zombies and gives you a few frames of invincibility. Black Ops 3 also introduced a new staple in Zombies that allows you to level up your guns and change attachments.
Neat.
And lastly, Black Ops 3 introduced the Gobblegum system, a plethora of special gumballs with unique abilities. They are essentially cheats to change the game mode and aid players in solving Easter eggs.
This is bad. I am out of honor. Alas, so is the doctor. There is only one way out of this pickle, Theo. Coward!
Unfortunately, this is where microtransactions come into play. Gobblegums are divided into two categories, Classic and Mega. Players have an infinite amount of Classic Gobblegums with simple effects like increasing knife damage, teleporting, and even something whimsical like making all dead zombies fall upward instead of down. On the other hand, Mega Gobblegums are much more useful, but limited. While playing a round of zombies, you'll collect vials of liquid divinium by surviving high rounds and interacting with objects around the map. After a run, you can take your vials to Dr. Monty's factory and roll for Mega Gums. Whatever you roll will increase that specific gum by 1, and every time you use a Gobblegum in game, your stock will decrease by 1. However, there's an exploit in BO3 that lets you keep all the gums you've wasted if your game crashes. So, before a round ends, most players turn off their internet for the same effect. Unfortunately, this leads to a lot of players disconnecting more often than not after they've gone down. If you play a lot of zombies, you'll rack up divinium without even trying. If you're actively farming for divinium, the process is long and boring. This was done to push players into purchasing bundles of divinium with real money. In most cases, the drop rate of the more useful Gobblegums in Monty's factory are low, once again to draw players into microtransactions. This aggravated players so much that Treyarch had to add Newton's cookbook to the game, allowing you to convert your worthless gums into better gums. I still loathe the inclusion of microtransactions, but overall, the Gobblegum system is fair. You don't have to spend several months playing the game only to get a handful of liquid divinium. You'll average around 2 to 3 vials each game. That may not sound like much, but trust me, they add up fast. Black Ops 3 pursues a new adventure that begins where the original narrative ended. The original story began with an alien rock known as 115, a new element with unlimited potential and the backbone of the lore. A scientist by the name of Dr. Ludwig Maxis started Group 935 to research the element during World War II. As time went on, one of 935's members, Dr. Edward Richtofen, grew a disdain for the way Maxis ran the group. That hatred eventually grew into a bitter rivalry, which ultimately led to a zombie apocalypse controlled by Maxis' daughter, Samantha. In the games you play as Ultimus, a team comprised of the crazy German scientist himself, Edward Richtofen,
More body parts! It is wonderful!
the foul-mouthed American, Tanka Dempsey,
Grab a little furry fuck bag!
the drunk Russian Soviet, Nikolai Belinsky,
I'll drink to that. Hell, I'll drink to anything.
and the honorable Domithic samurai, Takeo Masaki.
By the might of 1,000 thunderclaps!
Ultimus bounced through various maps collecting the materials needed to defeat Samantha, and when they finally confront her on the moon, Richtofen double-crosses Ultimus by switching bodies with Samantha, giving him control of the zombies and blowing up the world. 10 years later, a group of survivors known as Victus joined forces with Maxis to take down Richtofen once and for all. Unfortunately, this was also a double cross, leading to the destruction of their dimension.
The process has begun. Now I control the ether's energy. I can at last reach Agatha. Ah, you fools! Why did you listen to him?
Okay, before we go any further, I overly simplified the story, leaving out a lot of important details that aren't necessary for this video. If you're interested in learning the full story, I'll leave a link in the description below. By messing around with Element 115, Group 935 unknowingly created new dimensions. Black Ops 3 takes place in Dimension 63. Primus, a team comprised of younger versions of the Ultimus crew, are stuck in a cycle, trapped in an endless fight with zombies, a fight they can never win. The Richtofen of this universe goes on a spiritual journey, hopping through dimensions, eventually learning of this fate. He convinces the other three to join him on a quest to break the cycle by killing the original Ultimus crew and gathering their souls.
Only a fool would dare to change history.
I am no fool. What I do only to secure a better tomorrow.
Yeah, well, let's see if we live to see it.
There are a total of 14 zombie maps in Black Ops 3. The first 6 follow the Primus storyline. Shadows of Evil is a beautiful noir-inspired map that takes place in the dreary streets of Morgue City. At the start of each round, players are given the ability to enter Beast Mode via one of the many altars around the map. Beast Mode allows players to open up the map, find the Pack-a-Punch, and solve the core Easter egg. Shadows of Evil also took the time to jazz up most of the perk jingles.
Reach for juggernaut tonight, sugar seduction delight.
When you need to feel big and strong.
Reach for juggernaut tonight.
Have no fear for double tap root beer. Get all the damage done. Double tap root beer will double the damage fun. Oh yeah, get thirsty.
I press those lips against the only one that truly moves you. Speed cola, speeds of your life.
There are several steps required to beat the core Easter egg, each of which has a step in one of the map's 4 districts. Once you understand how each step works and what you need to do, Shadows of Evil becomes one of the easiest BO3 maps. The tale within Shadows of Evil is largely unimportant to the narrative. 4 individuals with skeletons in their closets are pressured into murdering their associates in order to achieve their selfish goals. By doing so, they curse the city, turning it into an undead nightmare. The Easter egg involves the characters working together, trying to fix the world by atoning for their sins. To do this, they need the summoning key, the item needed for Primus to collect their souls. But right before their victory...
I'm so sorry, I really don't have time to explain. I have a universe to set right. Thank you, and goodbye.
The Giant is a remake of the map Derice from Call of Duty World at War. They changed the name of the map as a way of telling players that BO3's Giant was Primus's map, not Ultimus. Treyarch chose to reuse a basic map because it and Shadows of Evil were the only 2 maps available at launch. They wanted players who were interested in the story and the more complex maps to hop right into the adventure, while giving casual players a way to experience the mode without the headache. This plan unfortunately had one huge flaw, but that's a story for another time. The Giant is where Primus kick off their soul-collecting adventure.
Richtofen, whatever you're thinking of doing, don't do it!
You do not want to meet what's on the other side of that door.
You cannot begin to comprehend the great evil you could unleash.
Derice was the first Zombies map with an interactive Easter egg. As such, it was short and easy to complete. Since the Giant is a remake, it shares the same Easter egg, making it the easiest core Easter egg in the game. Primus used the Easter egg to contact the Dr. Maxis of their universe, who is responsible for sending them to new locations as needed.
See it? The beacon is lit. I know where and when you are.
The Giant added a few new radio conversations, as well as one new Easter egg that unlocked an extra perk. The Eisendrache is a castle map that was repurposed into a 935 facility. Primus come here with 2 objectives, to secure Ultimus Dempsey, who is awaiting transfer to the moon, and to charge the summoning key, all while fighting Dr. Groff, a scientist trying to stop them. The wonder weapon of this map is a bow with 4 elemental upgrades, 1 for each player. The boss of this map is a corrupted keeper, a race of beings responsible for protecting humanity in times of supernatural crisis. To reach the boss, players must teleport the Moon Pyramid device, or MPD, from the moon down to the castle. The MPD is what gave Samantha Max's control over the zombies in the original story. And once you've taken down the boss and Dr. Groff, Richtofen finally reveals his plan to the other 3.
I should never have trusted you, Richtofen. Never!
You should trust me, Dempsey. You all should. This artifact has the power to contain and preserve the subject's soul. Your soul. But it can only be done after the moment of death, just as you saw me do to my other self. It is the only way.
Zetsubo no Shima is my favorite BO3 map aesthetically. Once Treyarch dove deeper into the lore of the mode, they favored creativity over horror in map design. Zetsubo is the only map in BO3 that fits the horror theme. 115 contaminated the water supply, having negative effects on the plants and insects. Zetsubo no Shima takes place on an overrun Division 9 facility on a remote island. Division 9 was a Japanese branch of Group 935 in the original timeline. Ultimus Takio was sent to the facility to oversee the work. When he reported back that the work was evil and unacceptable, he was forced to become a test subject at the facility and endure whatever torture he was subjected to. And when the facility was overrun and inevitably abandoned, he was left behind. Zetsubo is one of the more unique maps in the way that it uses plants. You plant seeds around the map that grow into various things like power-ups, guns, fruit, extra lives, and more. What you reap depends on how you care for your plant, the types of water you use, the amount of times you water it, and whether or not you shoot it with the wonder weapon. The KT-4 is the wonder weapon of the map. It kills zombies by shooting a concoction of spider fluid, plant fluid, and radiation. It's not one of my favorite wonder weapons, but unlike most maps, each player can carry one. Once everything is in place and you finally reach the boss, you learn the terrible fate of the once great samurai.
Punishment is one thing. This is cruelty. Who could be so evil as to desire another soul to endure such suffering? Who amongst us can be so dishonorable? Are you so blinded by your own loyalty?
Gorod Krovi takes premise to Stalingrad in the middle of a three-way war between zombies, robots, and dragons. After you ride the dragon to the Pack-a-Punch and the euphoria wears off, you ask yourself, didn't this used to be a horror game? Yes. Yes, it did. With one soul left to collect, Primus must complete a series of tasks for a cyborg named Sophia in order to secure a power core for Ultimus Nikolai, to aid him in the fight against the boss before taking on Nikolai himself. Treyarch played it safe this time around and made the wonder weapon the Ray Gun Mark III, a weapon that fires both a black hole and a laser, which, when combined, increases the effectiveness of the black hole. Gorod Krovi is without a doubt the most difficult map in BO3. The map involves players completing a series of monotonous tasks, each of which, if done incorrectly or not completed within the time limit, will result in your team failing and having to go up a round to try again. Once you've finally completed all your tasks and taken down Ultimus Nikolai, Primus Nikolai comes face to face with a version of himself he'd rather not become.
I share the same pain as you. The pain that you have buried and blurred beneath an alcohol-fueled haze. Yes, the pain of your own memory. You loved and you lost. Everything else has been delusional fantasy that distance you from painful truth. You know what I speak of. You remember.
The final map, Revelations, is a mixture of all the Ultimus and Primus maps combined, a memento of the community's journey so far. Revelations does little to innovate in both aesthetics and gameplay, but the atmosphere made for a satisfying conclusion to the narrative.
Things have got way too far out of control. This isn't any vague woo-hoo evil. We're talking about the Apothecons, the most powerful and evil entities in all the existences that ever existed. And now they're here, in our perfect world.
The wonder weapons for this map are the Apothecon Servant from Shadows of Evil and the Thunder Gun from Kino, one of which is needed to beat the map, the other is extremely useful for the final boss fight. And before you can even get that far in the Easter egg, you have to have beaten the other 5 maps. Once you manage to defeat the boss, you are quite literally rewarded with the revelation of how the cycle started.
Those blood vials. I was wondering when you'd bring this up.
They're from realities we've already closed off. They shouldn't be here. They can't be here. Such a paradox means you're putting my perfect world at risk. You guys and your bloody free will.
The final 8 maps are faithful remasters of previous maps, most of which follow Ultimus's adventure, allowing veterans to re-experience the story with BO3's new mechanics, while giving first-timers a chance to experience the story with modern graphics. Nacht der Untoten, the original Zombies map. Verrückt, an abandoned insane asylum, Shino Numa, an undead swamp, Kino der Toten, Theater of the Undead, Ascension, a rocket facility in Russia, Shangri-La, Richthofen's secret project, Moon, the final showdown with Samantha, and Origins, the map where Primus was formed. With so much passion and detail put into Black Ops 3 Zombies, it has to be a gem, right? I really hate to admit this, I really do, but Black Ops 3 Zombies has two major flaws that keep it from being a gem. The first are multiplayer Easter eggs. In most of the earlier Zombies games, some core Easter eggs required a team of 2 or more party members to complete, and BO3 is no different. You need a full team of 4 to complete Shadows of Evil, Ascension, and Shangri-La. The developers created maps this way to encourage the community to play together. On the surface, it sounds like a wonderful idea, until you realize just how hard it is to put a full team together. It may have been easier back in the day when the majority of us were kids and had a lot of free time on our hands. I wouldn't know. I didn't have internet. Nowadays, we're all adults with jobs and college and families to take care of. It's hard to find time to play with friends, especially a big group. Public matches are almost always a bust. You never know whether or not your teammates are going to know how to complete the Easter egg, if they have mics, or even if they're good enough to help you out. There are online groups and communities dedicated to zombies, but even then you have to get lucky enough to find a full team, which usually involves several hours of waiting. My point is that not everyone has access to a full team, and the Easter egg shouldn't be inaccessible to solo players. BO3's second flaw is that some of the Easter egg steps are unnecessarily difficult. Most of them are pretty easy. If you can average 25 rounds in Zombies, you can complete a majority of the Easter egg steps, but there are a few that aggravated me to no end. For example, Der Eisendrache has these launch pads that fly you to different parts of the map. One of the steps to upgrading the fire bow requires you to shoot an arrow at 3 flaming rings on the ground while using the launch pads. In Gorod Krovi, there's a step that has you disarming several bombs around the map. The order you need to disarm them flashes on screen one time very quickly. You have to memorize the order and disarm the bombs within the time limit. If you mess up, all the bombs will blow up and everyone near a bomb will be immediately downed, and you have to wait until next round to try again, with a new pattern. This step is so tedious that the community has unanimously decided that the easiest way to complete the step is to have one player say the order into a voice recorder and play it back for the rest of the team. There's another step that requires you to twist a dial on 6 different valves to 1, 2, or 3. The combination you put in depends on which pipe has its light on and which pipe has a purple fuse stuck in it, for a total of 30 different combinations, way too many to memorize. Once again, in order to make the step easier, a community member by the name of Mr. Raffle Waffles, that is extremely hard to say dude, created his own website with an algorithm that gives you the code you need. Easter eggs should never be difficult to the point where the community has to make a website to solve them. BO3 Zombies is a fantastic game and is definitely one of, if not the best zombies game in Call of Duty, but due to the difficulty and inaccessibility of some of its Easter eggs, I can't bring myself to call it a gem. As per usual, before we go, let's talk about some of the fun facts across the Zombies mode, because if I covered them all, this video would be 72 hours long. It wasn't a coincidence that Dempsey, Nikolai, Richtofen, and Takio reunited in a different dimension. In the original timeline, Richtofen bound their souls to a pure piece of element 115, effectively binding them together throughout the ether. No matter the world or dimension the characters find themselves in, they will always find each other. Because of this binding and the cycle, every run-through of Zombies is canon, no matter the game, no matter the map, no matter if the Easter egg is completed. Every time a player or players load into a map, the run-through is canon. The same goes for every version of each map. Nacht der Untoten was the first Zombies map ever and made its debut in Call of Duty World at War. You originally played as 4 unnamed soldiers, but when the map returned in Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 3, you play as Ultimus. All 3 versions of the map are canon, and the same goes for every other map in Zombies. BO3 was the first introduction of Super Easter eggs, which is a fancy term for the reward you get after beating all the core Easter eggs in the game. By doing so in BO3, you are rewarded with an extra gun at the beginning of each round. There's a tactical weapon in Zombies called the Monkey Bomb that lures zombies to it and explodes. In Derice, if you threw a monkey bomb into the furnace, it would scream as it burned and Samantha would scold you for torturing it. In The Giant, you can still throw the monkey bomb into the furnace, but since Samantha is no longer present, she won't say anything. On the moon map, after switching bodies with Samantha, the person playing as Richtofen will now have Samantha's voice, and all the eyes of the zombies will turn blue instead of yellow, and the music for the fire sale will change as well. If you spin the box as Samantha while a fire sale is going on, she tells you that she likes her song better.
Needless to for a fire sale! No! No! I hear the voices in your head!
Also, if you go back to Earth after blowing it up, everything is destroyed. Oh, and speaking of fire sale, no matter the map, none of the zombies will drop a fire sale until the mystery box has moved at least once. In Der Eisendrache, Jason Blundell, the director of Zombies at the time, hid an Easter egg pic of his family within Spawn. It can only be found if you haven't completed the Super Easter egg. And finally, Dimension 63's story actually starts centuries before Primus get involved on the battlefield of the Great War, a war between humans and creatures from hell known as Apothicons. 4 heroes wielding elemental staves take charge and win the war for humanity. Primus were these 4 heroes. At the end of the cycle, they are sent back in time to aid in the fight, only to inevitably die and be reborn centuries later to start the cycle over again. The Primus maps foretell this fate through multiple Easter eggs and map details, so the community was able to figure this out early, way before Revelations was revealed. Because of this, the final Zombies map for BO3 was originally going to be the Great War map. Unfortunately, due to a lack of time and other factors behind the scenes, Treyarch was unable to finish the map and we ended up with Revelations instead. Black Ops 3 Zombies was a passionate game that took the series in a new direction with its narrative and new features, while reminding fans why they loved the mode. Many people like to argue that Call of Duty Cold War has the best Zombies mode because the Easter eggs are overly simplified, and that's not a joke. Unfortunately, Cold War lacks a lot of the charm that made the Zombies mode fun. It lacks a team of original characters, replacing them with fan-favored campaign characters with generic lines. The majority of map designs are reused assets from campaign and or multiplayer, with little to no originality, and the story wasn't that interesting. When compared to BO3, a game with iconic characters, fun and interesting Easter eggs, maps with originality, and an enthralling narrative, there's no question why Black Ops 3 is the best Zombies game of all time, and I hope one day Activision gives their developers the time they need to make another fantastic game. Thank you all so much for watching, and keep on gaming.